quinto ano. A Didi tava aqui, ó, escutando uma song, falando Welcome to New York. Que vontade de estar em Nova York. Não tá muito bem, não. Mas, quando tudo passar, que vontade de estar em New York, né? Em Nova York. Did you imagine in Nova York? It's so beautiful. Today we are going to visit some place around the world. And New York is one of them. Let's travel together.
Faixa 8, pages 32 and 33. Exercise 5.
A. This is a very famous statue. It's the Statue of Liberty. We can see it in New York, the USA.
B. This clock is one of the most famous around the world. You can see it in London, England.
C. If you go to Japan, you can visit temples and mountains. You can visit Fuji Mount. It is in Honshu Island in Japan.
D. There is a famous site called the Opera House. You can go to Sydney, Australia to see it.
Faixa 8, pages 32 and 33. Exercise 5.
A. This is a very famous statue. It's the Statue of Liberty. We can see it in New York, the USA.
B. This clock is one of the most famous around the world. You can see it in London, England.
C. If you go to Japan, you can visit temples and mountains. You can visit Fuji Mount. It is in Honshu Island in Japan.
D. There is a famous site called the Opera House. You can go to Sydney, Australia to see it.
Hi, it's Olivia. Today's a really amazing day because I'm going on a boat to see the Statue of Liberty. The Statue of Liberty is a huge statue in the middle of New York Harbor. It was given to America by the French in 1886. The French gave the statue to America in representation of international friendship. Over the years, it has become a symbol of freedom and democracy. It was dedicated in 1886 and became a national monument in 1926. Often, one of the first glimpses of the U.S. that the immigrants on ocean voyages from Europe saw was the Statue of Liberty. The statue is a female figure dressed in a robe, holding a stone tablet in one hand and a flaming torch high in the right. On her head, she has a crown with 7 points, each point representing each continent. The torch is covered in several layers of gold leaf. The tablet that the statue is holding is imprinted with the Roman numerals July 4th, 1776. This is the date of the U.S. Declaration of Independence. The statue is formally called Liberty Enlightening the World. The copper skin of the statue is less than 2 pennies thick. There are 25 windows in her crown. The flame part has been changed 3 times. The statue weighs 450,000 pounds. And in case you haven't noticed, over 3 million people visit the monument every year. There's no information on how many hamburgers they sell, but I can assure you, it's a lot. If you ever come to New York City, be sure to put visiting the Statue of Liberty at the top of your list, because as Benjamin Franklin once said, where there is liberty, there is my country.
Around the world, the iconic tower that holds the bell that we know of as Big Ben is fairly well known. The accuracy and reliability of the Great Clock has made it a famous London landmark. But the Elizabeth Tower, that's been standing for over 150 years, has some amazing technology of its day. So how does a 150-year-old clock manage to keep time reliably to within 2 seconds at all times? Well, it's all down to the idea of a pendulum. And a pendulum works a bit like this. If you have a piece of string or rope with a known length, and it takes 1 second, for example, to move from this side to this side, it's always going to sweep out that 1 second. And if you can build a mechanical system around this to add up all those seconds to be minutes and hours, you've got to make into a great clock. Interestingly, they already use pennies to help Big Ben chime. They add pennies to the system or take them off to help change the speed of the pendulum. And that's not the only thing. Here's my top 5 facts about Big Ben and the clock tower. The bell inside the clock tower is called Big Ben and is over 150 years old. It was cast on April 10, 1858 and took over 2 weeks to cool down from molten metal into a ringing bell. The minute hand on the clock face is over 12 feet long. That's like me stood on my own head. And in 1 year, it travels over 118 miles as it spins round and round. There's still a crack in the bell that happened in 1859, but at the time, it was considered way too much trouble to remove and fix it. The Great Clock is cleaned around every 5 years. A team abseils in from above and cleans the entire thing with just soap and water, being careful not to put their hands or their feet to the panes of glass behind the clock itself. The Great Clock lost 4.5 minutes back in 1949 because a group of starlings perched on the minute hand and slowed it down. So that's it. The Great Clock that lies within Elizabeth Tower and rings the bell that we call Big Ben all still runs on a pendulum system with cogs and gears. So if you like our video, make sure you give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel at Lonely Planet Kids. Come say hi on Facebook and Twitter. And if there's any cities you want to know more about, let us know in the comments below.
Today we're exploring Mount Fuji, Lake Ashi, and riding a bullet train, and we couldn't ask for a more perfect day to do it on. We've stopped up here at one of the viewpoints on Mount Fuji, and we get this incredible view of some of the other Japanese mountains. The peak of Mount Fuji doesn't seem that high when you're up here at the viewpoint, but it's actually almost 4,000 meters above sea level. We've made it here to Lake Ashi. We're gonna hop on the boat and sail around. So we're out here on Lake Ashi, and not only is it breathtaking and known for its hot springs, but most importantly, it's known for the incredible views of Mount Fuji. Got my ticket, gonna head up the Hakone Ropeway. So the ropeway has brought us up here to the top of Komagatake, and the views are breathtaking. You have Mount Fuji, you have Lake Ashi, and then in the distance, the Pacific Ocean. I'm in love.
This lake is just so tranquil and just beautiful. Wish I could stay here longer too, actually.
Now I have a bullet train waiting for me to take me back, so let's hop on board. Japan is home to the second fastest train in the entire world. So when you visit this country, you have to take the opportunity to ride on the train. Today has been epic. I got to see Mount Fuji and Lake Ashi. Now I have a bullet train that's taking me home. Life is good.
Hi, my name's Maya and I'm 11 years old. The Sydney Opera House is one of the most famous buildings in the entire world. You don't even have to like opera to enjoy it. It's fun taking a ferry to Circular Quay and seeing the Opera House from the water. Then you can walk along the foreshore. You don't even have to pay to see it. Anyone can take a selfie on the steps for free. The Opera House is a weird circular shape and people think the roof looks a bit like sails on a ship. I reckon it looks more like shells. And did you know there are more than 1 million of those white tiles? It's bright in the sun and a great canvas light shows, like Vivid. The Opera House has 5 theatres. There are always concerts and shows on and a whole program just for kids. And if you want to know more, there are lots of tours. The Opera House is a great place to take in views of the harbour and the bridge. Or if you want to stretch your legs, the Botanical Gardens are just round the corner. I love visiting the Opera House. I give it a 10 out of 10.